It's me. Leave a message at the beep.
Hey, man, it's me. Oh, so it's late and the bar's closing down. But here's the thing. I've been talking with these two models all night and buying them copious amounts of drinks. Oh, you would not believe the outfits on these two. Thigh highs and all that. So, at the beginning of the night, I would have to say not my type, but here's the deal. I need you to wingman me. You don't have to do the sexy time, but we're heading back to my place, and I need you to meet us there. Uber's coming in about, I can't look at my phone right now, but 3-4 minutes. It's, you've got to come. So hot, so cute. One is Puerto Rican, I think, and the other is like pasty ginger. It's wonderful. These are actual models. You've got to come over and wingman for me. Hey man, I'm looking out for you. I should mention I'm like 90% sure they're both dudes. Okay, see you in a little bit. Bye.
Welcome back, you guys. It is January 4th, 2016. Yes, this show is Y2K15 compliant. We didn't have a bug at the turn of the year. No, I know it's 2016, and I'm proud of it. This week's going to be a little different, getting out a little bit late. I've had some projects I'm working on. They're very exciting, and I will tell you about them. They're not very profitable yet, but they, stand a chance. They stand a chance. Also, the 4K version is coming out late, but I'll probably upload just a regular high-def version just to keep my fans happy. There's some pretty interesting stuff going on this week in the podcast. I've got a few segments that I've had done for a while. The new stuff, I'm not even doing a video recording of it, just because it adds to production time, and I really want to get this out on time. Now, I said it's not coming out as timely as usual. That's because I usually publish super early. And this will still come out on time, but, hey. So let's get on to this week's podcast sponsors. The Glossy News 4K Podcast, News and Review Podcast with Brian K. White podcast, courtesy of Glossy News in 4K, where available, is sponsored in part by Half-Assing It. Half-Assing It. It's a great way to make deadlines. Half-assing it. It's what your doctor does. Half-assing it. Why be an ass when you can just be a half-ass? Half-assing it. It's what's for dinner. All right. That went well. Yeah, let's get started.
Check out my superpowers.
So I've been telling you guys about my superpowers week after week. And yes, they are super, and yes, they are powers, and no, you can't have them. This week I have kind of an interesting one to tell you about. I have the ability, so, if you get pulled over and the cop finds a substance in your car, they do a roadside test. I have the ability to determine if a powdered substance in your car is a stimulant just by smell. Now, I can't tell you if it's, coke or meth or whatever, but just by smelling it, I can tell you with certainty if it is a stimulant. And if you give me a day or so for the results, I can also tell you if it's anthrax. Not proud of that one. Not proud of any of it, but we don't choose our powers. These are the powers that are given to us. And it would be foolish of me to look this gift horse in the mouth, assuming assuming you're buying, we got to figure something out. Yeah, just by looking. Now, the other superpower I'm going to disclose this week, and again, I don't like to disclose all this stuff because I don't like to mix my superhero persona with my real persona, because then it's all like, hey, Clark Kent, you kind of look like Superman, what gives? No, this one is interesting. I have the power of sarcasm. And I know what you're thinking. It's not terribly useful, but I can assure you the power of sarcasm is super useful. Oh my God, it's like incredibly useful. Let me tell you, people love my power of sarcasm. That one feels like kind of a negative on the superhero column. I'll work on it. So I told you guys that I've been working on a new project, and I've only been working on it for, let's see, today is the 3rd at 8:42 a.m. So I've only been working on it this year. I started New Year's Day, continued yesterday and today. And the project is a new Reddit account. Yes, I have created a new Reddit account. No, I won't tell you what it is, not at this time. The point is that Reddit users value karma. And if you can amass an absurd amount of karma, you can hopefully get contract positions doing social media engineering. Now, to get those positions, you have to be a monster. And I don't mean a monster in the evil sense, but in the sense of racking up these imaginary sky points online. So let's see, it is the 3rd at 8:43 a.m. In those, what would that be, 48? That'd be, in those 56 hours, I have amassed 17,671 points. My karma is 17,671. To put that in perspective, that probably puts me in the top 50% of all Reddit users. And my goal is to amass 1 million points in karma by about October. Although at my present pace, I will hit it around April. At that point, I can hopefully go to companies and tell them how to do what they need to do, show them the metrics I use to establish how to post, what to post, where to post it. And from this, companies use social media, including Reddit, all the time to promote themselves. I can show them how to crush it. Now, to give you an idea how quickly I'm able to rack up karma, during the course of recording and finishing this podcast, I'm not going to be posting anything. And I will give you my updated karma count at that point. But it's going to be more than what I have now. Because you make posts, you make comments, and the points just keep flowing. And it's kind of strange. 1 million points. 1 million points. There's probably only 20 users on all of Reddit out of there's probably 5 million active users a month. Probably only about 20, 25 of them have over 1 million points. And I intend to have it sometime between April and October, depending how much time I want to put into it. It's actually quite easy. You just have to do it. So that's my new project, and that's not the real reason the podcast is late-ish. I mean, it's not actually late because, well, I intend to get it out on time, out before the end of today. The rest of it has been Christmas and putting together the bikes for the boys. They got bikes for Christmas instead of phones. They were a little disappointed, but bikes are a little easier too. Bikes are better. They need bikes. And when I say putting the bikes together, I didn't actually do that. They came mostly pre-assembled, and then Tina and her brother put them together the rest of the way because because I just couldn't be bothered. No, it's a fun project, and details will come out in the future, and I will share the account at some point, but it's just a lot of fun. So that's what I've been up to.
$1 billion business. Ooh. $1 billion business. Free for you. Oh, oh.
Okay, so I've got a $1 billion idea. This one was actually given to me by my wife. The heater core went out in the family van, and the front windshield would not thaw. It just wouldn't. It would fog up, as car windshields do, and it just wouldn't clear. So I expressed my frustration. She goes, well, just crank it up. Just crank up the air. That's great. I'm cranking up the air, but I'm blowing cold, wet air on the cold, wet window. Nothing is changing. She said, you know what you need to buy? Go buy a battery-powered hair dryer. I said, what? She goes, think about it. Nobody is selling these. And it's true. There is no such thing as a portable 15 to 1800 watt hair dryer on the market. And I was like, that's great. That's great. Should it include 3 car batteries to run it? Because even that's only 36 watts. We're not quite there. What you'd really need is a bank of capacitors, but that would probably still be about the size of a backpack. Oh my gosh. So this isn't, I'm not going to get into the engineering specifics, because if I were to, it would immediately become apparent that there's a real practical limitation to this. But no, the important part is this product doesn't exist yet. And you, my friend, you can become wealthy beyond belief if you simply invent it. Yes, it may require a Red Ryder wagon filled with supercharged capacitors, and yes, it may only run for a few minutes. But man alive, not only would you be a pioneer, you would be the laughing stock of the invention world. Portable hairdryer, man. Battery-powered hairdryer. You know what? You guys, there's a lot of really smart people who listen to this. I trust at least one of you will invent this. And if you don't, well, I'll be 2 things. I'll be disappointed, and I'll be not surprised, because, battery-powered hairdryer, come on. It's just $1 billion business. That's my advice. In Federal Way, Washington, there's a fun little theme park called Wild Waves. I don't know if it's just called Wild Waves or if it's still called Wild Waves Enchanted Village. It is mostly a water park, but it's got a fair amount of rides and, some decent ones at that. It's got an antique carousel. It's got some roller coasters with twists in them and some, smaller roller coasters that are more family friendly. And it's got some of those, I don't know if you ever went on them as a kid, but the rides that are just for little kids. If you're too tall, they won't let you on. There's a lot of fun to be had. And in the month of December, they do a festival, what do they call it? Holiday with Lights. Wild Waves Theme Park, Holiday with Lights. Select dates from usually the first week of December through the first week of January. I think it stopped this year on January 2nd. And I have to say, It's only about $10 a ticket. I think it's $15 at the gate. You can get them online for $10. You can get them at Albertsons or Safeway for $10. And I think kids under 5 are free, something like that. It sounds quite affordable, and I guess it is, but I'm not sure I can fully recommend it. It's fun, but it's handled badly. It's like they're trying to lose money. I feel like they're the old guy from Scooby-Doo who's running his theme park into the ground. So the first problem is they say they've got over 1 million lights. But what they don't say is those lights are spread out over like 15 acres. And very few of them are close to the walking paths. Some of them are hundreds of feet away up the hill or all the way across the water up in trees. It's not enough lights. So what they do to compensate is they turn all the other lights down or off. And as a result, you're kind of walking around in the dark. Now, I believe it's open 6 or 7 o'clock. I think it's 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. And it's dark at 6 in December. It is pitch black. So having the lights off, not a great solution. So with all those lights off, it does make the Christmas lights better. But it just, you can't tell which rides are on. When you go to, for example, the Washington State Fair in Puyallup, at night, it is lit up like a carnival, because it is a carnival. It's nighttime, but it's still bright and beautiful. This is just dim. Now, I had LASIK in 2009. That's great. I can see well at night, but, that's not the point. I hope to put some stock pictures from their website up in the background to show you what I mean. A lot of their pictures, they have to use very long focus to get a lot of lights in and then use, leave the shutter open for days. It's very dim, and that is a big complaint. But the other problem is the weather in the greater Seattle area in the winter is just not terribly forgiving. The night we went, it was around freezing when we got there and well below when we left. Now, that's no fault to them. They can't move Christmas. They can't magically make the weather better. But what they can do is put out heaters, which they pretty much don't. There's a section called Toyland where you can go in and make arts and crafts and write a letter to Santa, which is a great way to keep the lines short on other attractions, and even visit Santa up until the 23rd. We went after Christmas, so there was no Santa. The craft supplies had been completely depleted, and the heaters, they shut them off at 9. So it's only open for the first couple hours. And then they shut that whole area down for the last hour of the night because I don't know why. So that's, it was cold. It was really cold. We did find additional heaters, and we're talking those big freestanding gas burning ones. We found additional heaters in the tent they have set up. They have this big tent set up for you to eat. So you hit the concessions, you go into this tent, you warm up. None of them were working. They had one space heater in the corner, and of course, it was already massively huddled around by the freezing masses. So there was no heat at all. Now, what I would do is I would instead put the heaters in the lines for the concession stands. That way, if you want to warm up, you need to get in line and buy something. They have a candy shop, the Candy Factory. Went in there to warm up. It's freezing cold in there too. I would have hung out in there and bought something, but it's freezing in there. It's freezing everywhere. You know what? We've had a good time. We're heading home. There weren't even maps at the gates to tell you which rides were open. And because it was so dark, it was kind of hard to tell. We didn't know what we had hit, what we had missed. It was just kind of a shame. Now, concessions are, of course, a little overpriced. That's to be expected. They weren't as high as the fair. They weren't as high as the airport. They were terrible, but that's to be expected. But the problem was, the lines, regardless of how short, just didn't move. I went and bought myself a mocha. I must have stood there for a half an hour to get it. 15 minutes to order, another 15 minutes to get it. And Dom wanted to buy cocoa with his own money from Christmas. And they're like, sorry, out of cocoa. Now, they weren't out of cocoa 20 minutes later when I picked up my order. So they could have just said, yeah, sure, there's cocoa. But again, just leaving money out there, just forgetting it. But yeah, no heat, long lines, toys turned off too early. But it was fun. We did have a good time. I would recommend it. I would say bundle up and, plan for it to be cold. Check the weather to see that it's not going to rain that day. And get there early because the lines are they just don't move very fast. So that's my business advice. That's my business advice. So, and on previous segments I've been asked, so I'll just answer it in advance. No, I was not paid to review them, and I was not, the only discount I got was that I bought the tickets at Safeway. So, with that said, I still recommend it. Just not thoroughly.
F-U-N-F-A-C-T, fun facts for you and me. F-U-N-F-A-C-T, fun facts for you and me.
Of all the continents, the one with the highest level of education is Antarctica, and by quite a significant margin. They don't have a whole lot of what you'd call schools there, but they do have a bunch of smart people. Not geniuses, because geniuses don't live in Antarctica. Alaska is the most northern, the most western, and the most eastern state in the U.S. According to, longitude and latitude, whatever that's about. But if you want to get really crazy, let's look at Norway. Norway, in relation to Finland, Norway is north, east, west, and south of Finland. Now again, with my fun facts, I always implore you to second guess me, because some of my facts are not vetted, some of my facts are outright fabricated, and all of my facts are pretty damn interesting, like surprising if true, and the majority of them are. That's just cool. El Paso, Texas is closer to Los Angeles than it is to Dallas. So yes, the distance between Los Angeles and El Paso is less than the distance between El Paso and Dallas. I don't know what that means demographically. I assume it means everybody votes red. I don't know. As of 2013, there were only, this one cracks me up. As of 2013, there were only 2 sets of escalators in the entire state of Wyoming. Now bear in mind, when they got their Homeland Security money, Wyoming got an equal amount as every other state. That's just democratic. That's just fair. I mean, why would New York or California or a coastal state or a state with 30 times the population get more money than Wyoming? I'm sure it had nothing to do with the fact that Ricky Dick Cheney was the vice president and a soulless bastard. Reno is west of Los Angeles, which is really surprising if you know anything about Reno or Los Angeles, which most people don't. It's really not that surprising. We know what maps are. What's more surprising is that there are 6 U.S. capitals which are west of LA. 6. JFK, Aldous Huxley, and C.S. Lewis all died on the same day, November 22nd, 1963. The current United States flag was designed by then 17-year-old Robert G. Heft as part of a school project. On that project, he got a B-, which just proves America's students need to work harder. I mean, imagine how awesome our flag could have been if he'd have gotten a grade other than a B-. I mean, come on, I blame the parents. The grandsons of 10th U.S. President John Tyler, born in 1790, are still living. His grandchildren are still living. The brother of John Wilkes Booth, you know John Wilkes Booth, he was an actor, he was in a play called Our American Cousin. It was really big. It played at the Ford Theater. You've probably heard of him. Anyway, the brother of John Wilkes Booth saved Abraham Lincoln's son from being hit by a train without knowing whom it was he saved. And why would he know? Do you ID people before you do selfless things to save lives? Nelson Mandela was not removed from the U.S. terror watch list until 2008, which is kind of late for those following the story. Last one, for this week at least. There are more public libraries in the U.S. than McDonald's. And if you check this stat again in a year, you'll find there are way more libraries than McDonald's because nobody goes to McDonald's anymore and they're in big trouble on account of making terrible food at high prices that nobody wants to eat. It's awful. Fun facts. Fun facts.
Technology.
So self-driving cars, it seems, are really, really coming. They really are. When Google showed their prototypes a few years back, I was thrilled, but not convinced. Too many times we've seen technology like this where they develop it and show it off and then shelve it for too many reasons. The biggest one is, in this case, they have to be better than a human being in every case. Sure, if you could get a chauffeur for life for $5,000, you'd hire him. But, you can't do it with a car. Even though it'll make fewer mistakes than a human being would, it has to be perfect. So Tesla has rolled out their little autopilot. Acura has a similar autopilot. And Nissan is still committed to having their fully autonomous by 2020. Cadillac will have a version of autopilot, a highway, lane assist, all that, next year. This year, it's 2016. So I'm finally convinced this is going to happen. And I'm convinced because it's not just Google working on it anymore, it's everybody. And I tell you, man, this is going to change everything. Driving will get so much safer, so much less stressful, just plain better. We take the same route to work every day, regardless of whether or not there's an accident. If you set your car and tell it where to take you, you might find it getting off at a different exit because it knows traffic is destroyed up ahead. Great. That makes it better for everybody. And, the big thing is, it'll also mean there are newer cars on the road. If you've got a check engine light on, I betcha your self-driving car will not let you continue self-driving the way it would otherwise. Newer, more up to date. I have a Chevy, which means, and it's an older Chevy, which means I'm on a first name basis with my mechanic. Yes, Brandon, I know you well. I have put almost as much money into repairs as I paid for the damn car in the first place. And I need to take it back in because the heat don't work. You know what it's like trying to clear your windshield when your heat don't work? Oh my gosh, it's great. Yesterday, I had to scrape my windshield on the inside. Good times. But no, it's going to be a game changer. The blind will be able to get around. I think parking lots are going to have to be reimagined. Because now, you don't need to spend all your time looking for a parking spot. You pull up, you hop out, your car goes and parks itself. Which means you can have uglier, more inconvenient parking lots because nobody's really going to be using them. Not in the way they are now, not with door access being critical. But what you are going to have is a big jam at the front door where everyone's trying to get in and out of their cars. It's like a big taxi queue, but with absolute chaos. That's something that hasn't really been addressed yet. And it'll be interesting. Maybe they'll have to put in like a double lane of queuing for people. Think what Walmart would look like on Black Friday, which is Black Thursday, of course, with everybody trying to get in and out of their car at the front door, with everyone trying to load their car with all their stuff at the front door. On the plus side, you wouldn't have to have the cart returns out at the, a half mile away, but parking lots are going to have to be reimagined. And that's great because that's going to create jobs too. And since it's going to take 20 years to phase in self-driving cars, it's going to take a lot of steps. They can't just do it all at once. It's not going to be overnight. I mean, we're talking jobs. Of course, we'll get self-driving steamrollers and asphalt layers, but again, that's a whole new industry. We'll figure that out. And I'm not sure how Google's going to make money off a self-driving steamroller because those things don't stop for happy hour. But wouldn't that be great if your Google car says to you, you know what? Traffic is an absolute nightmare. Here's a place with 50% off appetizers for happy hour. Stop in. And I think that's what they want to do. It's certainly what I want them to do. Self-driving cars, baby. They're a-comin'.
Hot streams for your face. Hot streams for your face.
So this is a fun one. I got a hot stream for you. It's a very short-lived Discovery Channel show called Head Games. It was a few years back, 2012, and this is a great show for those of us who did not get to take Psych 101. Now, I did get to take Psych 101, so for me it was kind of a fun refresher. But basically, the show involves social experiments, head games. So, like, they'll do experiments where they make people point the wrong way, or all kinds of stuff. So, let me show the clip, and then I'll explain it some more. It's awfully fun. Here we go.
Now we're gonna see if we can get people to walk in circles that don't make any sense.
We're putting real people into some not-so-real scenarios.
Free samples of chocolate fudge. It's free and it's yummy. What we're going to do here is test people's level of disgust.
Voila! Come on, man. I just ate that.
All in the name of science.
This actor's just leaving a wake of anger. Jerk.
A new 3-part series, Head Games, Sunday at 10 on Discovery.
So yeah, I guess it wasn't 6 parts. It's only 3 parts. I'd thought there would be a season 2, but it's discovery, and since it's vaguely educational, no way, we can't have that. So they do all kinds of experiments where, like you saw in the clip, a guy was walking the wrong direction down an escalator, and people just could not wrap their head around it. And they do all kinds of stuff like that. They give out samples of lemonade, and people love it, and they're like, would you like a full glass? And they pour it out from a bedpan, and people are like, they can't do it because their brain is telling them that's piss. Now, they don't actually say, but I assume the bedpan has never been used in an institutional setting. Maybe it has. Who cares? It's water soluble. Rinse it, bleach it, you're done. But then again, ever since I started my doomsday cult, I've been living off a steady diet of my own urine. So I guess there's that. That's probably more a me thing and something I need to work on. But yeah, so this show, you can definitely find it on primewire.org. And, maybe torrenting, who knows? I don't have a VPN, so I don't torrent anymore. Popcorn time. Popcornbrowser.xyz. I don't think they have TV shows, but you can try it. Or, just go to your local sources, my friend. The internet is so wide, so vast. I'm even told there is pornography on it, though I have no experience firsthand. And that's not that's not quite true. I have a 16-year-old in the house, and I've seen his browsing history, and the good news is he's not looking up illegal stuff, but he is looking up things I can't wrap my head around. Kids these days, man, the weird. I love you, buddy. I love you, my friend. You are my good son. You look at some weird naked pictures. No judgment. It's something everyone does at some point in their life. But man alive, I have seen your I've seen your browser history, and it's not my thing. I'll just say that. Boy, did we get far afield from what the hot stream was this week. Head Games, Discovery Channel, 3-part series. Check it out. You'll burn through it in hour and a half. I don't remember how long it is, but it's short. So, there you go. Hot streams for your face, my friend.
Breaking news.
So I wanted to give a big happy birthday shout out. December 30th was the birthday of a woman, a Chinese pharmaceutical chemist and educator who has saved millions of lives with her breakthroughs in malaria treatment. But before I can wish her happy birthday, I of course have to sing her happy birthday. And before I can do that, I have to actually discuss the song Happy Birthday. Now, when I first started drafting this, the copyright matter on the song Happy Birthday to You had not been settled. It is now settled. The song is now in the public domain, which is great, but also complete and total bullshit because it should have been in the public domain a cajillion years ago. See, the song Happy Birthday to You, perhaps you've heard of it, perhaps you've heard of its many knockoff variations because restaurants are unwilling to pay royalties, nor should they. No, what happened is there's a song called Good Morning to All. Good Morning to All from 1893 that we know of goes like this. Good morning to all. Good morning to all. Good morning, dear children. Good morning to all, or to you. No, yes. Fuck. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, dear children. Good morning to all. That's how it goes. So, we know that the tune is not copyright protected. Never, hasn't been for, well, the copyright expired before copyright extension. So that's been in the public domain for a good 60, 70 years. But the song Happy Birthday to You has different words. So let's review what the words are. Now, in the song, the original song, Good Morning to All, the only words that appear are good morning to you, dear children all. That's 7 words. Happy Birthday to You, on the other hand, has happy birthday to you, dear variable. So 5 words and a variable. You can't copyright the variable. I'm sorry, inserting someone's name, you cannot copyright that. Maybe you could patent or trademark, I don't know what, but it's certainly not covered under copyright. Now, between the two songs, Good Morning to You and Happy Birthday to You, there are only 2 words different. So, good morning to you, dear children all. Happy birthday to you, dear blank. So they changed literally 2 words and somehow took a song from 1893 and carried forward the copyright until 2015, when it was finally overturned at great expense, because quite plainly this song should be in the public domain by now. It is redonky horse shit that there are almost no color movies which are in the public domain. You can find tons of public domain films. They're all black and white. The quality is abysmal. And even then, you could find yourself facing a copyright claim. It is ridiculous horseshit. So, the beauty is, copyright is so vague and so broad and so costly to fight that even if you were to use the tune Good Morning to All and sing someone happy birthday without saying the words happy or birthday, you would still end up with a cease and desist and or paying royalties. It's ridiculous. Good news, the copyright has been overturned and put back in the public domain. And the company, the group who are making a documentary about their quest to restore this 1 ounce of sanity to copyright, their next step is to try and claw back some of the royalties paid on this usury, abusive, illegal copyright stake. But I've gotten so far afield, I must get back to my point, which is to wish happy birthday to the Chinese chemist Tu Youyou, born in 1930, December 30th. Happy birthday. So, allow me to sing. Happy birthday to Youyou. Happy birthday to Youyou. Happy birthday, dear Youyou. Happy birthday to Youyou. Oh, God, that was a long walk for a terrible joke. Yes, you know what that sound means. It means we've come to the premature end of another podcast. Now, I could spend days rambling in my closing, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to close it up. So I told you I was going to come back and let you know how much karma I had accumulated on Reddit. It is now 11:46 a.m. Same day. It has only been a little over 3 hours, and in the intervening time, I have amassed 900 karma. So I'm at approaching 19,000 now. And that should be, pretty disheartening to those of you who have been on Reddit for 3 years and only have 17,000 and change. I'm looking at you, J-Dog. Yeah, I checked your account. Some good top posts. I like them. I want to steal them and use them in my podcast. But, they're just not quite up to my standards. No, I'd rather instead be a condescending dick and then appropriate them later once you're no longer a fan. That's my long con. That's my end game. You got to think these things through. You got to plan in advance. I'll be back next week. Sunday for the early listeners, Monday for the regulars. We're up to about 4 or 5 dozen regular listeners and viewers now, which isn't, super awesome, but it's steadily growing, and I'm pretty pleased with that. I can't say how much longer I'll be doing this, but my guess would be somewhere between 1 and 5 million weeks. And you can take that to the bank. They won't redeem it for anything. It has no cash value, but, just go into the bank, talk to them, tell them about my podcast. That's really my advertising strategy at this point, is to tell all of you to take it to the bank. And I think it'll work out well. Royalty-free music by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Segment bumpers and ever more of my backing music by Greg the Hero. Good stuff, Greg. Good stuff. Follow me around the web. Go to glossynews.com/podcast, where you'll find links to Reddit, to Twitter, to Facebook, to all that good stuff, to my various YouTube and iTunes channels. It's so easy. There's no reason not to do it, except that it requires you to actually do it. Life has gotten to the point where they just want things done for them. And if that's the case, just email me and I'll send you all of those links every day, 10 times a day, until you finally get a restraining order. And I'm okay with that too. We can do it. This has been Brian K. White for the Glossy News 4K podcast. News, entertainment, whatever the rest of my catchphrase is. I'll see you guys next week. Well, it's a one-way medium, so I guess you'll hear from me and or see me next week. And, if you haven't already, subscribe, man. Subscribe. Have a good week, guys. Talk to you soon.